Good evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
Tonight on The Big Story, two announcements from Malacañang today, an upcoming meeting between President Marcos and his 2022 rival, and the appointment of a former Duterte ally to the NBI. Some smell politics.
2028 already on the minds of supporters as they float so-called girl power tandems. VP Sara Duterte and Senator Amy Marcos, and former VP Leni Robredo and Senator Risa Ontiveros.
And one tax expert is proposing the creation of a new body that will kill the Internal Revenue and Customs Bureaus, as well as the corruption deeply rooted in the two agencies' systems.
Nagsuot lang ako ng pink pero naagad mali siya. Wala pong anumang update kung nililigawan ng sinuman. Wala pa po sa isipan ng administrasyon na ito humanap ng sinumang kandidato para sa 2028.
Malacañang once again takes on former President Rodrigo Duterte and his claim of kidnapping by the government and the ICC. The palace also denies forging new alliances to counter the presidential bid of Digong's daughter in 2028. Maricel Halili with tonight's Big Story.
Malacañang pushed back at Rodrigo Duterte's claim that he was forcibly taken so the International Criminal Court can detain him. This was one of the former president's reasons in a signed notification dated February 17 on why he does not want to attend his confirmation of charges hearing set from February 23 to 27. Duterte said he does not recognize the foreign court's jurisdiction over him, as he was kidnapped, pushed into a jet, and brought to The Hague in the Netherlands. He claimed that the so-called kidnapping was facilitated by the office of President Bongbong Marcos. But for Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro, the government just acted in accordance with Philippine laws.
Magandang araw. Ayon po sa batas. RA 9851, maliwanag ang sinasabi sa Section 17 na kapag ang isang kaso o isang complaint ay dinidinig na sa isang state o international tribunal or court, maaari pong i-dispense with na ng gobyernong ito ang anumang pag-iimbestiga at hayaang magpatuloy ang pag-iimbestiga sa nasabing state or international tribunal. Meron din pong residual obligation ang administrasyon na ito upang ipatupad ang dating napagkasunduan na nung tayo pa ay miyembro ng ICC o ng Rome Statute.
Castro also brushed aside suggestions that Vice President Sara Duterte's political plans could affect her father's case before the ICC. The VP announced on Wednesday, February 18, that she is running for president in 2028. The palace also denies feeling threatened by Duterte's declaration that it is now exploring common grounds even with known political opponents. This speculation was fueled by a social media post by Naga Mayor Leni Robredo, which showed preparations for the president's visit to her city. Yusek Castro did confirm that Marcos will indeed meet with Robredo on Saturday, February 21st, for a flood mitigation project. The palace press officer, however, downplayed suggestions that the meeting could signal political realignments ahead of the 2028 elections. She likewise brushed off speculations that the administration is courting Robredo. The former VP and the president, of course, were rivals during the 2022 national elections.
Ikaw naman, nagsuot lang ako ng pink pero naagad mali siya. Wala po, ang kulay na sinuot ko ngayon ay wala pong kaugnayan sa anumang politika. Wala pong anumang update kung nililigawan ng sinuman dahil ang sabi nga po natin kahapon pa ay wala pa po sa isipan ng Pangulo at ng administrasyon na ito ang patungkol sa pamumulitika o humanap ng sinumang kandidato para sa 2028. Tutok po ng Pangulo ay trabaho. Ayun po, ayusin ang mga issue patungkol sa baha at ang pag-angat po ng ekonomiya ng bansa.
When asked if other matters would be discussed between the two leaders, Castro replied,
Yan ang abangan nyo.
As for the possibility of forging alliances against Duterte in 2028, Castro maintained that no such discussions have taken place. But this crossing party line scenario was further charged by this announcement.
Magkakaroon po ng bagong NBI Director sa katuohan po ni Atty. Melvin Matibag.
Castro did not disclose the reason behind Matibag's appointment, but emphasized that the decision was within the president's prerogative. Former Duterte ally Matibag will replace NBI Acting Director Lito Magno.
Una-una, masasabi natin bakit niya in-appoint or i-appoint. Nandun po yung tiwala. Nakitaan po niya ang si Atty. Melvin Matibag ng maaaring pagtiwalaan. Maaaring magtrabaho para sa gobyerno. Pero kung ano yung pinaka-reason, hindi pa po nasasabi sa akin in details.
Matibag was appointed acting cabinet secretary in March 2022, or during the final months of the Duterte administration. He was a known defender of Digong and his family until 2023, when he resigned from his post as Secretary General and later as a member of PDP Laban, the political party that brought Duterte to Malacañang in 2016. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
Meantime, the fourth impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte has been transmitted to the office of the House Speaker. Lawyer Nathaniel Cabrera filed the complaint yesterday, which was endorsed by House Deputy Speaker Paulo Ortega and Manila's 6th District Congressman Benny Abante. Among the grounds in Cabrera's complaint, culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, graft and corruption, and bribery and other high crimes. It also includes VP Sara's threat against President Bongbong Marcos and alleged misuse of over 612 million pesos in confidential funds. Abante said the only thing that differentiates Cabrera's filing from the first three complaints is the affidavit of Duterte's alleged bagman, Ramil Madriaga.
We're not talking about 2028, no. This is about 2026, about whether the Vice President remains fit to hold the second highest office in the land. I'm not talking about her plan for the presidency. I'm talking right now on her current position as Vice President. Candidacy announcement do not erase accountability. Running for president is not a defense to grave allegations. It is precisely why accountability must be faced squarely and promptly. Dapat harapin po niya to sapagkat taong bayan po ang apektado rito.
House Speaker Boji D now has until March 2 to include Duterte's 4 impeachment complaints in the plenary's order of business. After that, they have 3 session days to refer these to the House Justice Committee. And once that happens, the impeachment proceedings against the Vice President are deemed initiated. Now, are congressmen afraid of Sara's retaliation if she wins as president?
It should be a welcome part also for the Vice President, because only through a proper impeachment process will they be able to actually present their perspective or present their view or defend themselves for that matter.
Palagay ko naman it would not be good na malaman ng taong bayan na magiging bengador ang ating Vice President. For example, ako, tinatakot na rin ako na baka ako balikan kung siya maging Pangulo ng Pilipinas. Well, hindi na po ako natatakot dun . I mean, every public official, kahit ako, should be accountable to the people that elected them.
In other news, PHIVOLCS reports that Kanlaon volcano had an explosive eruption just this afternoon. And to tell us more about this is the Chief of the Volcano Monitoring and Eruption Prediction Division of PHIVOLCS, Mariton Bornas. Welcome back to The Big Story.
Good evening, ladies. Good evening po.
Could you describe in layman terms what you mean as when you say moderately explosive eruption?
Okay, so today at 4:39 p.m., we had a 2-minute explosive eruption. This is the kind of eruption where we can see the volcano producing a lot of ash, producing a relatively large eruption plume, and what we call pyroclastic density currents, or PDCs. These are very hazardous flows of material, very hot material, including volcanic gas. at a short distance from the crater. So this occurred after a period of low activity in terms of seismic or volcanic earthquake activity, and also very low or a decrease in sulfur dioxide emissions.
Will the alert level be increased from 2 to 3?
I think we've already made this decision last October because we had a similar but less energetic explosive eruption last October 2025 that we are calibrating our alert level responses by not raising the alert level for similar types of eruptions that are producing volcanic hazards within the 2-kilometer radius of the volcano. So it's as much as scary as the eruption looks scary, the volcanic hazards, particularly the PDCs, are confined within the 2-kilometer radius. No? So we had ashfall over a reported 6 cities and municipalities of Negros Occidental, maybe around 40 barangays. But for the really dangerous impacts of pyroclastic density currents, these are all confined within a kilometer of the crater.
Do you expect this to persist for a long period?
So right now, we've had several of these moderately explosive eruptions since the first one in June 3, 2024. And this is part of a long-term period of unrest of Kanlaon, which we think might culminate in a major eruption of the volcano. So for now, what we see is that after such events, there are no appreciable changes in the monitoring parameters. So right now, what we are looking at for a possible raise in the alert level would be if there is a corresponding change or escalation in the severity of the monitoring parameters. So we shall see. But again, for the past few weeks, we've had actually very low levels of seismic or volcanic earthquake and sulfur dioxide emission. And we think that it's because of the suppression of the volcanic gas within the volcano that's causing the pressurization and this kinds of repeating and very infrequent activity of Kanlaon.
So it could take years before that major eruption that we are anticipating could take place.
That's right. So in some other volcanoes around the world, similar to Kanlaon, they've had long periods of unrest that stretched to about 10 years, 5 years, or and even more than that before activity actually culminated.
Is it strange, Ms. Mariton, that you observed low sulfur emissions, very low seismic activity before this minor explosive eruption actually happened?
I think at some point in the period of unrest, we will see less and less of this kinds of precursory signs because the volcano has been preparing for a long time. Since 2020, 2022, we've had very high levels of rock breaking inside the volcano, as recorded as volcano tectonic earthquakes. So we've had thousands and thousands of these. So essentially the pathways have been of the magma have been already established. And so it will make the magma, when it eventually comes up, might make less noise than what has been recorded for this period of time that we've been having these explosions. So it's common among in volcanic eruptions that we will have the lessening of these kinds of parameters. Of course, not all of these parameters. We expect, for example, the sulfur dioxide emission will increased. Yeah.
So, Ms. Mariton, having said that, would you be changing any of the alerts or advice for the LGU to give the residents in these 6 municipalities around the volcano, or kumbaga, maintain lang?
So now we are maintaining alert level 2. That includes the recommendations for strict compliance of no entry into the 4-kilometer radius permanent danger zone. But we will be on the lookout for any escalation of parameters that could lead to a step up in the level 3.
And Mariton, is there a way to enhance our early warning systems for future volcanic activities?
Okay, so we actually have a very, very modernized, we have state-of-the-art monitoring on our active volcanoes. Our only problem really is how to keep them working in our climate. And I think of the Philippines, and I've said this many times, we are faced with this unique situation in which our own early warning systems, in whatever state they are, even if they are very well advanced, are really at the mercies of our climate. So we have frequent typhoons, we have huge humidity problems for our equipment on volcanoes that we have troubles resolving or solving. So there are so many challenges, even though our equipment are state of the art. And yeah, the climate is actually a big issue for us in volcano monitoring.
Is there a way to at least address that, Mariton? Is it through maintenance, upkeeping, or talagang natural cause na itong climate?
We actually have a constant maintenance of our stations, and it takes up a lot of time and effort, really. But we also are in great partnerships with the locals, the local government, the local communities who help us with the maintenance of our monitoring infrastructure. So really, it's a multi-sectoral effort. Yeah, so that we can have these instruments running. But we have a lot of major successes. For example, in Mayon volcano, we are able to actually predict its behavior very accurately right now. And frankly, we cannot just take credit for that. It really is the success of many, many actors, especially of the local communities.
All right, we thank you so much once again for your for sharing your expertise with us. That was Mariton Bornas of FIVOLCS.
We're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, it's still 2 years to go before the presidential elections, but already tandems are shaping up, at least on the minds of supporters. That story and more when we return. Keep on One News. He also argued that if properly valued, the undeclared expenses could have exceeded her legal spending cap of about 1.4 million pesos, which is a possible violation of election law. The mayor is also seeking a perjury case, saying the SOSE was executed under oath. And at its first policy meeting of the year, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has once again cut key interest rates by 25 basis points. The benchmark rate now stands at 4.25%, with overnight deposit and lending rates at 3.75 and 4.75% respectively. The BSP said the move comes amid weaker than expected domestic growth, with softened demand weighing on the economy. The Monetary Board added it will remain data dependent, ensuring policy settings stay consistent with its price stability mandate and support for sustainable growth.
In other news, airline operators expressed support for the removal of the travel tax. In a statement, the Air Carriers Association of the Philippines, or ACAP, said proposals to remove the travel tax will make international air travel more affordable. ACAP is composed of flag carrier Philippine Airlines and its regional brand PAL Express, budget carrier Cebu Pacific and its regional brand Cebgo, and Air Asia Philippines. Earlier this month, a bill was filed by House Majority Leader Sandro Marcos to remove the travel tax. A counterpart bill was filed at the Senate last year. The travel tax was first imposed in 1956, later amended in 1977. The government currently collects a travel tax of 1,620 pesos from economy air passengers and 2,700 pesos from first-class ticket holders. The Department of Finance said last year that scrapping the travel tax could result in up to 5.1 billion pesos in foregone revenue. President Bongbong Marcos had urged Congress to abolish the travel tax by the time legislators adjourn in June.
Now let's talk about the implications of removing the travel tax and other government tax issues with our guest tonight. And joining us is Global Tax Policy Expert and Chief Tax Advisor of the Asian Consulting Group, Mon Abrea. Good evening and welcome to The Big Story.
Thank you.
Okay, quickly, the travel tax, should it be abolished?
Should have been abolished long time ago. It doesn't make sense. It's 1977. And the original purpose or intention of that is to regulate traveling. Because at that time, during martial law,
Ayaw nilang umalis ng bansa ang
and they want to keep the dollars. Because, you know, if you go travel abroad, you'll be spending dollars. They want to keep everything.
Well, that will mean another blow to domestic tourism. Ang mahal na nga ng airline tickets domestically.
Well, supposedly, says the travel tax should have funded tourism infrastructure to lower the cost of traveling domestically.
Okay, pero papogi lang ito ng gobyerno. What do you think? They need the revenue though.
Yeah, but it's a max of 8 billion, so it's just a budget insertion.
Mon, I found out, no, I only found out last September that 40% of the travel tax actually goes to CHED.
Yes.
Is that not going to hurt our college students? Kasi syempre, as we move the budget to basic education, now that fund in my head is 40% of 1,620 or 2,7 is now going to CHED.
But as I have said, it can easily be taken out from the general appropriation.
Fair point.
Or
Okay.
just insert in the budget.
Okay, I'm sure that will be passed. That's like
Yes.
Yeah.
low-hanging fruit for
Correct.
our legislators. Papogi po. Sige na nga. But let's talk about your push for combining. Okay, you said abolish BIR and BOC. That sounds very controversial, but you want it combined into like a super
The commissioners called
body.
me immediately after you put it on headline.
Okay, I understand that it's practiced in the UK, Canada, Singapore,
Even Malaysia.
Malaysia. Okay, but you know, their civil service there is excellent. They have a British, Malaysia, Singapore, di ba? They inherited that from the British. Our corruption is systemic.
Inherited from where?
Huwag na natin sabihin. Depende sinong colonizers natin. Dalawa lang naman pagpipilian.
Okay.
But, yeah, values It's not easily changed or, yeah, it can,
But that's exactly.
behavior
But
cannot
that's
be.
exactly the point why it's systemic. We need to overhaul it, because we cannot anymore rely on the goodness of people. Meaning anyone who should be put there, whether as a commissioner or an examiner, will be forced to do the right thing. Because it's already digitalized, it is already a modern technology.
Isn't that practiced now? Isn't there some sort of digitalization in the BIR and
the last
BOC?
2 decades, the digitalization of BIR is fragmented and PR. They have more announcements than the actual benefit of digitalization. And primarily because Congress doesn't even give them enough budget. For the longest time, we rely on JICA, USAID, now abolished as well, World Bank, ADB. In fact, the first computerization was an ADB loan. ADB should be questioning what happened to the loan that we gave you. Why until now taxpayers keep declaring their name? Are they changing their name? It should no longer be asked, but we keep filling up the same name, same address.
So tanggal din lahat ng mga tao dyan.
That's an option, but they will also be given an option. They will be given an option to be absorbed or to accept an early retirement.
So one of the points actually that you made about making a national revenue authority in lieu of the BIR and BOC is that ayaw mong humingi sila sa Kongreso ng
Ng pera,
budget.
yes.
And you want it run like a GOC.
Yeah, because if they have their own budget, they will not be at the mercy of Congress. Because I'm surprised that Senate and Congress are investigating the quote-unquote corruption or alleged abuse. But most of them are the ones calling examiners every time their businesses, their allies, their campaign donors are in trouble with BIR. So that's what we want to remove.
Customs.
Or customs. That's what we want to remove. We want to protect as well our reviewers, the examiners, that they will be able to do their job without risking it that they will be sent in timbuk tralala if they will not give in to the request of a
This
congressman.
has to be legislated.
Yes.
Sino naman ang sponsor niyan?
Well, honestly, we have given a copy of the bill. There's a bill already that we have sent to the Office of the President, to the Senate, Congress, Department of Finance, and I personally gave a copy to the Commissioner. Sabi ko, this has nothing to do with you. And I'm addressing this to both Charlie Mendoza, BIR Commissioner, and Ariel Nepomuceno, Customs Commissioner. I said, this is not just about abolishing your agencies. I'm not asking you to be kicked out. We support you, but this is long overdue. And this is beyond governance. It's really almost hopeless na eh. We need to really start it from ground up.
But the danger there is you're creating a superstructure. Baka mas lalong maging ultra-powerful and beyond...
Yeah, what would be the
Beyond,
checks and balances?
In fact, that's integrated in the proposal. There will be a board. There will be no one person who will be ultra powerful, and it's not like appointed by one person. So it's a board that is composed of government representatives. The finance secretary will still be in the board, but there will be professional CEOs, and their performance or their appointment is based on performance. They can stay for like 3 terms, which means 4 or 3 years or 12 in total, but it depends. It's no longer coterminous with the president.
I understand that in other systems, it's not really just one superstructure, but better integration
Yes.
between the customs and the internal revenue. Because
Correct.
in a sense, magkaiba yung function eh. Hindi ba? It's VAT, corporate taxes, personal
Well, they both
income.
collect taxes, but you're correct. The one is monitoring or controlling the border,
Yeah.
and the other one is killing us. I mean, squeezing us to pay taxes. So, magkaiba nga. But at the end, they are both collecting
How
taxes.
does it function as as a better integration?
Because the reality says right now, at least our commissioners will appreciate that we appreciate their work, but it's not really efficient. Whatever comes in through the customs is not directly reported or reflected in the system of BIR. Because the system of BIR is voluntary. So if I decide to hide what I snuck in or smuggled goods, BIR will never know it until someone will give the
So
information.
kumbaga, you already charge the corporate taxes and the other taxes that are collected by BIR dun pa lang sa point of entry. Ganun ba?
No, not necessarily, but whatever comes in, mag-flag kagad sa system ni BIR. Remember, these are in if they're smuggled, then it disappears.
Yeah. Kumbaga never siya nagyari. And then it's just all black money.
And that's our issue with our excise tax, whether it's cigarillo or alcohol. Even if we keep increasing the excise tax, we are not actually reducing the consumption of cigarettes because it
Daming
becomes
smuggle.
cheaper to legal to illegal tobacco. Why will they buy with the 60 peso excise tax when they can just afford a 15 peso cigarillo na? So again, all these leakages are systemic. It's not because the commissioner is not doing his job, but the leakages is everywhere.
Is the finance secretary open to this?
We haven't spoken, but his office received the proposal. But just to be transparent, this is not original to us. This has been filed several times. In fact, Congressman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo filed the exact bill in 2016, and it was refiled by
10 years ago.
Exactly. And it was refiled by her son, another congressman, in 2019. It's exactly the same bill. Yes, exactly the same bill. Why? Because the revenue, the National Revenue Authority is not like a super brilliant idea because it's already being implemented in other parts of the world. It's a matter of us upgrading, modernizing our own tax administration.
Well, Mon, aside from the creation of a National Revenue Authority, you also proposed the creation of a Taxpayers Advocate Office to independently review this body. How important is that, and why do you think the Commission on Audit is not enough?
The Commission on Audit focuses on the budget that is given to a government agency. They don't actually review the regulations. You know, only in the Philippines that every change of commissioner, regulations are being changed as well. They keep reversing it. May hilo ka na eh. Tumbling ng tumbling yung regulation eh. So whoever they want to favor or whatever the reason is. And that's not fair, especially for our foreign investors. That's a bad signal because it means their investments is at risk. It can change arbitrarily. And we don't want that. And at the same time, we want that tax advocate group to protect the small taxpayers who can never afford a lawyer or a big firm.
Who are the ones who are always getting pressed? Back to the point earlier we were discussing, no, na may mga padrinong mga congressman, isang tawag lang, yung mga kaibigan
At
nila.
saka mga pressure groups dyan, mga religious groups.
Ay,
But there's also a suggestion.
Customs ang una nilang pinupunteriya. BIR.
Yung
Am I right? Why are you just laughing?
no, yes, you're right.
Ayaw lang niya naghahanap siyang kakampi.
Oo nga.
No, but
Nakakatakot pala dito sa big
Ma-hot water ka
story.
ba dyan?
the OECD is also suggesting that why don't we just follow the minimum tax rate of 15% for multinationals. I think you're in favor of this. You were in a conference.
Yes, it was actually signed by former Finance Secretary Jokno. But because of the changing Finance Secretary, it was forgotten. So hopefully Secretary Go will pick it up and will make it a priority. Why? Because we've lost almost 200 billion na, almost 50 billion pesos a year, just because we failed to collect from Amazon, from Facebook, those tech giants and large multinational companies making billions of pesos in the Philippines, but profit shifting it to Ireland, to tax havens, and paying zero in the Philippines.
We used to talk to you a lot, Mon, about the tax reform. This was in the previous administration. There was a 3-phase tax reform, right? And then COVID happened, and it kind of slowed down a bit. In your assessment, the first one was personal income tax. And in that same conference you were in, just last week, I think, you were saying na dapat baguhin na siya.
Yes,
Mali na
because
yung threshold.
Yeah, because at that time, it looks like it's beneficial, 250,000 exemption. But also during that time, or especially during COVID, Singapore gave $90,000 to each citizen as a tax relief. Tayo, 250,000 pa rin. Inflation pa lang, kinain na yun, diba? Sa dami ng babayaran mong toll and every window in government, there's a fee. So it doesn't help you anymore. So we are proposing to increase it to 1 million. Let every Filipino earn 1 million tax-free. Anyway, the government cannot provide all the basic services. Might as well give us the money. Let us decide what we want to do with the money. Whether we will take a taxi, take the 1, 2, 3
It will
trains.
spur
Definitely it will.
economic growth
Correct.
pa because
No one will save it. Promise. They will spend it.
Is
That I can
walang
guarantee
choice,
you.
walang choice.
That I can guarantee you.
But
wala kang
fiscally-
champions in the legislature for these
Because they
measures?
just changed the committee chairmanship. We used to work a lot with Senator Win Gatchalian, pero napunta siya sa finance, and now it's with Pia Cayetano. But Senator Pia hasn't called the Ways and Means. Puro Energy Committee pa yung natatawag. So I mean, we cannot demand,
Yeah.
but we can keep
Especially
writing them a letter.
with the government in deficit, they need all these revenue.
Correct. A lot of revenues. And what we're saying is if we just stop this manual, corrupt BIR audit, we can actually raise even ₱1 trillion.
Combining the two will reduce human intervention.
Yes. Discretion breeds corruption. And BIR custom is a perfect example of institutions where there is full discretion. Anything goes, anything can happen.
But how much will have to be allocated for digitalization? And of course, you want to retire everybody there and just start afresh.
Retire everybody? Well, it's their option if they want to retire.
Diba, parang,
Part of the law is to guarantee as well their jobs.
Yeah, okay. Pero marami na rin sigurong...
Magre-retire? Yeah, I think
Pero
they will.
so, magkano?
I don't know how much, but what I can tell you is that the government will only put like initial capitalization. As a GOCC, it will have to run on its own. That fiscal autonomy says, I think, will really give them so much independence. Kasi nga, they won't have to beg from Congress na eh. Then part of their collection will be retained as their administrative fee.
Retained earnings nila pwede nilang i-roll back.
I
Like
don't
a
know,
normal
is your life in danger by proposing this thing?
My life has been in danger several
Yeah.
times. During Farmali, my life was in danger. So I think this is very crucial and it's long overdue. And I keep telling our friends and enemies in BIR and Customs, I am not targeting you. I don't have time for you guys. I just hope that the next generation of Filipinos will not have to experience the traumatic and horror stories of dealing with Customs and BIR. That's what we want to hope for.
We thank you for joining us. That was Global Tax Policy Expert Mon Abrea.
And moving on to another story, women leaders seem top of mind when it comes to the national elections happening in 2 years. And so far, only Vice President Sara Duterte has declared a 2028 run. But the girl power theme is resonating. More from mobile journalist Mary Mon Reyes.
Ako si Sara Duterte. Tatakbo bilang Pangulo ng Pilipinas. Shukran.
After this announcement, the next question is, who will her running mate be? Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Rodante Marcoleta, or Senator Bongo? Staunch Duterte supporter Jimmy Bondoc says, don't write off Senator Robin Padilla just yet.
Among the very good candidates for VP, because ang Vice President usually is an advocate, no? And si Robin is a very strong advocate of even difficult issues.
But Padilla is non-committal at this point, although he has another tandem in mind. How about President Marcos's 2022 running mate and his sister?
Amy as VP, sir, yun ang tinutulak niyo. You think, sir, handa ang Pilipino sa parehas na babaeng leader po?
Panahon na para maramdaman ng mga Pinoy ang girl power.
Girl power? The palace does not think so.
Sila din po ang dating tinawag na Team Itim. So ngayon po, wala pong maaaring tugon at hindi pa po tumutugon o nagre-react ang Pangulo patungkol po dyan.
Then, there's Senator Bongo, ex-President Duterte's former aide.
Huwag muna natin pag-usapan yung politika po sa ngayon. Trabaho muna tayo. Yun ang kailangan ng Pilipino sa ngayon. Buo po ang aking suporta sa kanyang desisyon. No?
Senator Bam Aquino has also been floated as Sara's running mate. That's after scoring points with Duterte supporters when he said extrajudicial killings during the drug war should first be tried in the Philippines before being brought to the ICC. But in a Facebook post, Aquino was clear, quote, I will not run for Vice President in 2028. It is not clear if Bam is closing the doors as well in running side-by-side with ally, former Vice President Leni Robredo. Robredo has time and again said she intends to finish a full 9-year term as Naga City Mayor. But will she change her mind? And if she does, will Senator Erwin Tulfo be a good running mate?
No, I'm nakakatama po ng puso pero I don't have plans eh. Whatever it is, yun lang makatalo kahit sino pa man dyan. No, I would say thank you pero I'm kind of tired. Hindi pa nga tapos 2025. I don't have plans to run for higher office. Ang hirap pala. I mean, kawawa yung family mo. Dapat Leni Robredo siguro at saka yung mga kasama niya sa liberal.
For Liberal Party member and former Budget Secretary Butch Abad, if it's girl power the country is after, Robredo and Senator Risa Ontiveros are a good combination.
Bakit hindi? Dahil
Si Senator Risa naman kung titingnan mo yung kanyang performance sa Senado napakagaling naman siyang bilang isang policy maker. Kaya meron ding kakayahang mamuno si Senator Risa.
Kapatid Mobile journalist Marymon Reyes, we are One News.
And we are pausing for another breather, but right after that, an action agenda is now in place to get local governments and agencies on the same page when it comes to timely projects for the people.
Welcome back to The Big Story. Government agencies and local government units have faced challenges in aligning their plans and programs, resulting in overlaps, delays, and gaps in implementation. From infrastructure to water governance and rural development, we lack interagency coordination, and that lack has been linked to inefficiencies across sectors. Next month, a summit will be held at the PICC to address these concerns through an action agenda. It's time to put the spotlight on initiatives that empower communities. Welcome to Sustainability. And joining us this evening is Dr. Rex Victor Cruz, Professor Emeritus at the University of the Philippines Los Baños College of Forestry and Natural Resources. He's also an academician at the National Academy of Science and Technology and a recognized expert in watershed management and climate change adaptation, and has served as a lead author for the United Nations Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change. Welcome to our program once again, Dr. Cruz, and remotely once again.
Yeah, I'm sorry I cannot be with you, but thank you for having me again, and good evening to you, Ces and Pauline and Shawn, and to all our viewers. Thank you.
Dr. Rex, what spurred you to act? Usually this should be really the government doing this, but I guess the academics wants to do it shared to push government. Is that correct? Is my analysis correct? Ano po nagtulak sa inyo na gawin ito?
Yeah. It's a long story, but let me just give you a brief overview of how this came about. We have a long time advocacy project being funded by DOST, and it includes helping the local government units develop their expertise or using a rich reef approach, for updating their comprehensive land use plan. And basically, it's using the watershed as the planning unit, as opposed to them using the political boundary of their jurisdiction as the planning unit. No, ngayon, mas wider na yung context ng decision-making nila when they do land use planning, and also for comprehensive development planning and sectoral development planning. Now, during the course of this advocacy project and capacity building, tinetrain namin yung mga LGUs, on how to do this properly. Every now and then, whenever we engage the local government units and its stakeholders, in discussions over issues related to land use planning, it always comes out. It's a recurring concerns that have been raised by local government units and other stakeholders. The limited collaboration and integration across national government agencies as hindrance to them realizing their development agenda. And of course, they also recognize the fact that among themselves, they also lack integration and collaboration, And so when we brought this issue to DOST and we told them about, we are helping the local government units develop a good plan for them. But then again, if we have a good plan and yet we don't have collaboration and integration across LGUs and across national government agencies, parang sayang no? Masasayang lang yung good plan because it will still be derailed by the limited collaboration and integration across national government agencies. And so DOST, we threw about it and then came out with an idea. Maybe we should engage the national government agencies in a summit type of an event, just like what we're going to have on March 11. It's not that it's not that national government agencies are not doing it.
All right, we have to.
I
fix
think
the-
they
okay,
have
go ahead.
interagency collaboration and integration among themselves. Yeah, but what we're trying to do now here is parang ano lang, giving an extra push, what we've been doing, and hopefully we can do something more concretely, through this action agenda, which we hope will get the support of all the national government agencies who will be attending the summit event.
Dr. Cruz, I remember we don't want to always beat on the DPWH, but I recall you saying that's one agency that really does not collaborate, does not consult, does not, work with the LGUs, for instance. Dadalo ba ang DPWH sa summit? Oops.
I can't remember. No, we sent an invitation to them. I have to check whether they have registered their interest to participate. But I do hope that they will participate. They participated already in another event where similar issues were discussed sa DNR. And so I believe they will attend this event.
Dr. Cruz, naaalala ko nung kasagsagan ng mga non-stop na baha at bagyo. Ito nga yung topic that you were saying. Ito yung missing link kumbaga sa policies natin. I just want to know, how have you ascertained na this will, kasi this is following the Philippine Development Plan through to 2030. By then, iba na yung admin. Did you put in some sort of safeguards na para talagang, matapos siya for all government officials, both national and local, to see it through?
We hope that it will come out as a topic for discussion during the summit event. But I think into the national government agencies, particularly DepDep or formerly NEDA. NEDA is doing a lot about promoting this interagency collaboration and integration. Meron naman silang mga mechanisms and our processes that they are actually using, to make sure that agencies across the government are able to collaborate and integrate when needed. Except that meron talagang there are other factors that are causing the difficulty, that are making it more difficult for agencies to collaborate and integrate. Pero siguro isa na talaga doon is yung culture natin, Parang tayo mga Pilipino talaga mayroong culture of not wanting or desiring really to collaborate and integrate, or act with others.
Well, Dr. Cruz, last year in August 27, 2025, you already held a pre-summit workshop and it was attended by several government representatives and officials. Tell us some of the gains that you had from that particular workshop and what are some of the outcomes that you are expecting from the upcoming summit in March?
Yeah. That pre-summit actually came about, when we were pondering about what are we going to do during the summit. We're engaging the top officials of the different national government agencies, and we thought that it's not going to be very effective and not going to be very productive, if we start from scratch. And so we thought of holding a pre-summit, where we can already start to think about, what will be the focus of discussion during the summit, and and during the pre-summit that will be an opportune time to really try to pick the minds of the representatives of the government agencies, and meron ding mga representatives from CSOs, academe, and local government units, no, pick their minds and already start stimulating them to think about what can be done. No, what can we do to promote or strengthen or enhance collaboration and integration across national government agencies. And so the major output of that pre-summit is actually the draft action agenda that is going to be the main document that the national government agencies are being requested to respond to. So doon sa summit, what's going to happen is that the representatives of the agencies will present their position in regards to the draft action agenda that were formulated out of the results of the pre-summit workshop in August last year.
One of the highlights of your agenda that you're talking about, Dr. Rex, is a centralized real-time geospatial and sustainable development group SDG monitoring system. How do you plan to make that happen?
Well, one of the expectations from that action agenda is really, to have a unified information system, information system that are being used, by different government agencies. As of now, what we have is that a lot of our major information systems are distributed across different agencies, and so it's kind of difficult really for those who are in the government, who are into planning and formulating projects, to get hold of important information that they need to be able to design good projects and to be able to do good planning, like the local government units, for instance. One of the things that they always say that constrains them from doing a good plan is access to good information. That is so hard to do because, you have to go through different agencies who are in charge or who are in custody of different kinds of information. So this action agenda item is designed to be able to put together, this information system into one integrated system that all the government agencies and all local government units and other concerned stakeholders, can easily access and facilitate, a more evidence-based and more science-based type of decision making, whether it's in planning or whether it's in policy making.
Dr. Cruz, we're running out of time, but what would you want as a gain after the summit? Like if you were to just pick at least one, what would be a win for you?
Ideally, we expect that that the national government agencies will really agree, will really agree that there is a need to do something. That's the ideal. That's probably the most basic that we can expect. But if they will carry it on to say, okay, the draft action agenda looks okay to us, we will support that. We commit that from here on, we will have follow-up activities so that we can distribute, the different action agenda items and then form individual groups to attend to one or two of the action agenda, and then we'll have time together again sometime after 1 year, to look at what will be the output of those teams that will work on the different action agenda. That will be the ideal. But this is a baby step, and we're not really expecting a lot. But if that will happen, that will be to us, that will be a super achievement already for this particular event. But the mere fact that agencies will gather, and wanting to discuss with each other, this common need and common concerns, that will be a win-win already. If that is only going to make them more aware, that each other are actually intent on enhancing its collaboration and integration with the other agencies.
Well, good luck Good luck, Dr. Rex Victor Cruz, on the success of your summit. We thank you for sharing your insights with us, and we hope magising na ang mga national government agencies because it's an urgent need. Thank you.
Right, and on that note, that's it for the big story this Thursday. Thank you so much for watching.
We are back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good night.